Hello, this is for completing the square in order to solve quadratic equations when you can't factor. Now, something important to note is that this is a method that you will need for geometry. Actually, the students in geometry are just did this last week, where they had to use completing the square for solving circles. So it's going to be something that you want to know. Um, and another important thing is to know when you can use this. You wouldn't want to use completing the square unless the conditions are right. Just like with factoring, um, if I won't be able to factor unless the conditions are right. If the factors of um, A, B, or AC can be added or subtracted to B. So for this one, for the conditions to be right, A, when I'm talking about A, I'm talking about this coefficient right here in front of the x squared. A has to equal 1. It's not going to be very beneficial for you to use this. You can use it if it's something else, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. You can use it if this is 1. So if you have an equation like y equals x squared um, plus 4x minus 9, okay, something like this would be a perfect equation to use. The other condition for this to be perfect is that b has to be an even number, like 4, or it could be -2, it could be -8. This can be anything as long as it needs to be um, an even number. Now, can it be solved without? Yeah, but it just complicates things so much that it's not that good of a method. If what you're gonna have to do to complete the square is basically divide this by 2, cut it in half, and then square it. And if you are taking an odd number like 5 and cutting that in half, that's giving you a decimal. And then when you square it, it gives you a more complicated decimal. So that's not the best um, ideal situation. So we're gonna be trying some of these. And whenever you're solving anything, no matter what method, whether you're factoring, whether you're using completing the square, whether you're going to do the quadratic formula like I do in the next video, you want it to be set equal to 0. And it doesn't matter whether it's set equal to 0 on this side or equal to 0 on this side. It doesn't really matter as long as you kind of understand the steps. Now, your first step for completing the square is leaving room to complete the square. So I'm just going to rewrite this, and I want this number. I don't really care about that number on this side, so I'm going to move it to the other side. And these I'm going to just rewrite. I'm not changing anything in the problem yet. I'm just writing x squared plus 4x plus, I'm going to be doing something. I'm leaving room to complete the square. And then since I'm moving this to the other side, it's just going to be equal to the opposite sign of +9. Now, anytime we've ever dealt with equations, when you do something to one side, you're going to have to do it to the other side as well to keep it balanced. So we're going to also add whatever we add here is also going to be added to this side. So I'm just going to, that's how I'm setting it up. I leave room to complete the square, and I leave room to write in the exact number on both sides. So in order to complete the square, to get this magic number that gets filled in here, you take your middle number, your middle term, whatever this is, you divide it by 2 and you square it. So let's say if my number is 4, like in this case, dividing it by 2 is 2, squaring it makes it 4. So I would add this to the side too. Let's say my magic number was 10. Divide that by 2 and you get 5. 5 squared is 25. If I had 12, 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. So it's a very basic thing that you're doing. You're just dividing it by 2 and squaring it. Okay, and the whole point of doing this is so that you don't want two variables of x. You don't want this x squared and x because they can't be combined, and that leaves you no room to solve for x. So what we can do is, if we can make it a perfect square, we can set it up in those parentheses, two parentheses that would equal each other, and then it gets rid of that exponent, and it brings it to the outside of the parenthesis. I know that sounds real confusing when I said it just then, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just like when we were doing factoring, this would now be able to be factored, basically. And it would be factored into the same two parentheses. Let me just show it to you like as we were actually factoring it, you would be factoring this, and it would be x and x. And then what factors of this add up to that? Well, the magic number that you just squared. 2, a positive 2 made the 4. 2 times 2 makes the 4, and a plus 2 and a plus 2 make this 4. These are always going to be the same sign as this middle term. Sorry, there's like a light right there. Let me turn this. Oh, okay. This one right here is going to be the same as this middle term, the same sign, and it should always work out. Now, the way we write that, the way we write that is x plus 2 squared. You can do it just like this. You can write it like that. Okay. Now this is a perfect thing to be able to do because up here we weren't able to factor it. The factors of 9 are 9 and 1, and those don't add or subtract to make 4, so that wouldn't work. But now this makes it factorable so that we can put it in parentheses with a factor, x plus 2 times x plus 2, or written like this, and then this equals 13. Now in order to solve this, okay, in order to get this x by itself, now that it doesn't have the squared component directly on it, all I have to do is kind of do the inverses to get x by itself. Well, the inverse of a squared is the square root. Okay, so I would take the square root of both sides. That leaves just what's underneath. That would be x plus 2 equals, anytime you're taking the square root, and this is going to be really important to remember, especially this week, it's going to be plus or minus. So if I take a square root of 13, there's a positive answer and a negative answer of the same number. And then to get x by itself, I subtract this negative 2. So that's x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 13. Now oops, that looks like a plus sign when I do that. Now it looks kind of simpler put this way, but you can always plug this into your calculator. I'm okay with you leaving it like this, your answer, but you can always plug it into your calculator, and what you would do is you would just plug in, and you have to do it in 2 separate steps. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see, negative 2 plus the square root of 13, so it's going to look like this. Negative 2 plus, and when I get that answer, it's about 1.6. Let me move it this way. And then you do it again, negative 2 minus the square root of 13. And you get a different answer. So my answers would be 1.6 and negative 5.6. And written either way, written either this way down here or this way over here, either one is fine. I'm going to show you some other examples. And I always recommend, if you're able to factor because it already leaves it in the simplest form. Let me show you, for example, if I were to do one that is factorable. Let's do x squared minus 6x. Let's do minus 6x. Let's do something like this. I would be able to factor this. Let's say I didn't recognize that it's factorable and I do completing the square. So I set it equal to 0. I'm going to move this out. X squared minus 6x plus something equals negative 8 plus something. Okay, this, when I divide by 2, it's negative 3. Okay, and just a hint, the negative 3 is what's going to go in there. If that helps to do it right then, that's fine. And then when I square that, it becomes 9, and I add 9 to both sides. Ooh. Okay, I'm trying to get rid of that light. Okay, and so I would have x minus 3. This factored would be x minus 3 squared equals 1. Now, this is where you're going to see a difference in the last one. The last one wasn't able to be reduced. If I plugged it in, I got kind of like a long decimal answer that I rounded. But this one's going to come out to an exact answer. So this would be, if I square root this and I square root this, I have x minus 3 equals plus or minus 1, because the square root of 1 is 1. So you're going to have a plus and a minus. And then it would be x equals, opposite sign here is 3 plus or minus 1. So I would have to solve both of those. That would be x equals 4, because 3 plus 1 is 4, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So this would be my answer. I don't want it left like this if it can be reduced. Anytime you can reduce it to the simplest form. So this would be the correct answer here, and you should be able to get that exact answer. Now, if you were to factor it, it goes a lot quicker, because all I'd have to do is find these factors, which are 4 and 2, plug them into the parenthesis and solve, and that it's a lot less work. So if you can recognize that it can be factored, do that, because it's a lot quicker. And this doesn't leave it in the simplest form unless you recognize to keep on going. Let's go ahead and try another example. Okay, I'm going to do x squared plus 16x plus 8. And what I would do is I would pause this video and make sure that you're trying it ahead of me, even if you think you can, or at least pausing and doing each step with me so that you're getting the practice in. Okay, so right here, my first thing is I'm going to get these two x's on one side, this on the other, and I'm going to leave room to complete the square. So I'm going to go x squared plus 16x plus blank equals a negative 8, because it's opposite sign, plus blank. Okay, I have to add the same thing to both sides. Right here, I'm going to set up, I know I'm going to have something squared, because it's this, what I'm setting up is a perfect square, so it's going to come out like that. It's going to be x, it's going to be plus something, because this 16 is positive, so it's going to be x plus something. What's half of 16? It's 8, and 8 squared is 64. Okay, so that equals 64 minus 8 is going to be 56. And then when I get to this part, and just a side note, this exactly like that is vertex form. So I know when I'm solving with completing the square, I know what the vertex of this without having to do the negative b over 2a. All I have to do is take the opposite of the sign and take that number. So if I were to subtract this over, it would be negative 56. I know that the vertex would be negative 8, negative 56, because this has to be on the same side. That's just a side note. So here we go. I have to, my 3 steps that I'm doing here is I have to take the square root, I have to get this by itself, and then I have to see if I can simplify it if I can. So there's square root, that's x plus 8 equals plus or minus the square root of 56. And then subtract this, x equals negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 56. Okay, there are ways to simplify the radicals. I'm not going to get into that. You can look it up if you want. In the calculator, I'm going to do negative 8 plus the square root of 56, and I'm going to do negative 8 minus the square root of 56. So my answers would be negative 0.5 and negative 15.48 or 0.5, either one. Okay, depending on what you're rounding to. I don't have a ton more time, but I do want to say something, that if you're plugging them in, anytime you get an answer, remember that these answers represent. So on that one we got, let me see, we got negative 15, negative 15.48, and we got negative 0.5. And these answers right here, those are x-intercepts. Remember, that's what the solution represents, x-intercepts. Okay, hopefully that's If you need more help, just let me know and I will be able to connect with you.